preserved, for I walk in this world.
Good morning. Hope your day is good. Okay, so here we are at the end of this path that we've been walking down for a couple of weeks. Actually, I think walking up for a couple of weeks. We are at the end of this path of these things that we have been calling marks of Christian maturity. We find it in the first chapter of 2 Peter. And each of these things has shown a development within us, that we are growing in our Christian character. And so today we reach the very high point of that. We've walked up this road, up this path, for a couple of weeks now, and we've talked about faith and moral excellence and knowledge and self-control and perseverance and godliness and brotherly kindness. And now, the pinnacle of this climb, we talk about love. Now, we've talked about love in previous daily messages, but it's okay for us to talk about love pretty often because it truly is the very central idea of our relationship with God and with people. People within the church and people in the world. There's this high calling that we always have of loving people and loving God. It is this idea that is the highest of human standards, that we choose to love, and that love brings a quality into our lives that it's unlike anything else. This truly is the mark of Christianity that sets it apart from every other world religion. The very basis of our faith is to love. In the 22nd chapter of the book of Matthew, Jesus was being questioned by those who were actually looking for a reason to criticize him, and they were testing him, and they said, "What is the greatest command?" And so he told them very clearly, the great commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. Love. But then he said, and the second is like unto it, to love your neighbor as yourself. It is the highest calling. We are to love God, and we are to love people. Love is identified as the greatest of the spiritual gifts. We read that in 1 Corinthians 13, and I'm going to read that for you in a little bit. The primary identity that we have as Christians today is the way that we love each other. That's according to John 13:35. Love is at the basis of all of this. It is both the foundation upon which we build our lives, and it is the highest pinnacle of our behavior. Love is what Christ was really all about. Love is the reason that Jesus came to the earth. Love is the reason that he gave each day of his life to caring for people. Love is the reason that he went to the cross. Love was his primary message to all mankind. Now, we're not talking about a silly, sentimental kind of love that makes us soft. We're talking about a general, and we're also not talking about a general love that is just kind of superficially for all mankind. We're talking about a kind of love that gets very personal with people, into their lives, into the difficult moments of life. We're talking about the kind of love that when it finds itself walking into danger, it chooses to love the very people who cause the danger. We're talking about a kind of tough love that isn't afraid to show itself in the very hardest moments of our lives. We're talking about a love that doesn't wait to test the temperature of a situation before it demonstrates its own power and its dominating strength. Too often, love is seen as this emotion that may or may not establish itself between people. But this kind of love that we're talking about is actually, it's a decisive determination that we choose to love every person that we meet. And love changes things. It changes the conversation from confrontation to a desire for acceptance and a mutual admiration. It changes the hearts of people from self-seeking to compassionate outreach. This kind of love allows us to see the very best in every person, and it allows us to demonstrate the very best that is in us. This is truly the passage for us to talk about. I want to read to you from 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy, and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, but do not have love, it profits me nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind, and it's not jealous. Love does not brag and is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly. It does not seek its own, is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffered, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But if there are gifts of prophecy, they will be done away. And if there are tongues, they will cease. If there is knowledge, it will be done away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will be done away. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, reason like a child. When I became a man, I did away with childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, just as I have been fully known. But now faith, hope, love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. So, Christian, today pursue love. It is that highest point that we reach for. And I want to encourage you to pursue love, not just a general love for all people, but for that one very difficult person that might be in your life. That person who is usually an outcast from others because of their own behavior. Choose to love that person. Love him, love her, because Jesus does. So be like Jesus. Today, love. It'll make a great day. Bye.
They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart. Words of life, words of hope.